What is your full name, please?
Hello, good morning. My name's Antonio Romero Zabalza.
You're charged with domestic violence, aggravated assault involving a dangerous instrument, domestic violence, disorderly conduct with a weapon, and 3 counts of aggravated assault on a peace officer. I'm going to enter pleas of not guilty. You do have a constitutional right to remain silent, to be represented by an attorney. There is an attorney who is seated next to you representing you for this morning's hearing. I'm going to hear first from the prosecutor's office regarding their bond recommendation, and then I will hear from your attorney. Mr. Goodman?
You can hear me okay, Judge?
Yes.
We're requesting $50,000 with pretrial services. That's even in light of the victim input. In the pretrial services report, he's got a history of violence. He's got a flag. He's almost maxed out on both scales. And what's very concerning is the multitude of victims here. He strangles one victim, threatens another victim with a machete. He's throwing things at police officers and actually kicked, if I'm not mistaken, another officer. So the state feels the higher bond is appropriate given the circumstances.
Defense counsel?
Your Honor, what is that you release him, alternatively impose a significantly lower bond? As Mr. Goodman noted, Ms. Zabalza and Ms. Camacho indicated that they were not injured. They indicated they do not reside with him. They would like further contact, and they do not object to his release from custody. It does appear that he has a Title 36 hold, so it would seem that there are some concerns about his mental health. Given that, we would ask that you release him, alternatively impose a significantly lower bond. If I get just one moment.
There are victims present. Victim want to be heard in this case?
She might have to unmute. I don't know what the code is to do that, Judge.
*6, the victim in this case, if you could hit *6.
Honor, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Your Honor, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi, Your Honor. So I was addressed as one of the potential victims. However, I feel, to be honest with you, and I'm not in agreement. We called the CRC team twice. I am trauma informed, but I'm about to be an LP. I don't think that my cousin being institutionalized will help him at all. It'll be more aggravated to him. There has been something that came out to light about 3 months ago. However, that just set him off, and I didn't understand. I thought he needed an IEP plan as a child. However, I'm trying to get my aunt conservatorship and for a fiduciary, because, to be honest with you, he needs mental health. He needs to be not institutionalized. He needs to be in a place that he is safe and can be helped. Because if he's in jail, what good does it do to be institutionalized? I understand there's priors, but now I also understand why there are priors. And because he didn't disclose this happened to him when he was 5. He didn't disclose it. I'm not saying it's an excuse. A lot of us have gone through trauma. I'm trauma informed. I work for government organizations, and I would, please, Your Honor, I'm not sure if you have families. We're not all perfect. However, he's a victim. He's a victim of something that happened to him that's not his fault. It was out of his control. I just asked if we could please put him somewhere that he could get the mental help he needs. Being in ICE is not going to help him.
And Your Honor, I guess again we would ask that you release him, especially in light of the Title 36 hold. He will be transported to the CRC if the court does release him, given that hold. And it does sound like that would be the most appropriate place for him going forward at this time.
But I don't want it to be. I apologize for interrupting, Your Honor. However, I want him just to be in the CRC hold for 36 hours and then get released. What good is that going to do? He literally needs mental help. He lost it. He snapped. He lost it. He's not.
Thank you for appearing and making your statement. Mrs. Zabalza, you're based on the alleged incident in this case. Your bond set at $25,000. No contact with your cousins, Mercedes and your sister, Antonia. Don't go to where they live. Commit no further acts of domestic violence. Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent you. January 21st, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. is a preliminary hearing. You also had a misdemeanor case. You were in warrant status for a DUI from October 21st of 2024. I'm going to quash that warrant, enter plea of not guilty, set your bond at $1,000 so you can get jail credit. City Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent you on that case. Your next court date in city court is going to be January 21st, 2025 at 1:45 p.m. Thank you. You're excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
To your attorney about your case. Thank you. What is your full name, please?
Marion Christina Horton.
You're charged with 1 count of domestic violence, disorderly conduct. I'm going to enter plea of not guilty. You do have a constitutional right to remain silent. You may hire counsel if you would like in your case, or if the court felt in the interest of justice an attorney needed to be appointed, the court could do that at some point in your hearing, in your future hearing date. Let's see. The roommate, Joshua, how long have you guys been roommates?
2 weeks.
Okay.
Three weeks, excuse me.
Well, I'm gonna allow you to be released, but you cannot return to the residence. I'm not sure what the situation is there. Your next court date I will release you is going to be February 10th, 2025 at 10:30 a.m. If you don't appear, a warrant will issue for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. Am I allowed to return with the sheriff to gather belongings? That's what they had said at the time of arrest.
Yes, you may. I've checked the box. You'll have to show the sheriff this minute entry to allow you to go back to the residence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ma'am, have a seat. Sorry about that.
Yes, yes.
There is a
Yeah.
victim. Did that victim want to be heard? Oh, Joshua? Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead if you want to make a statement regarding this case.
Yeah, I didn't really know what to say, I guess, other than the fact that this harassment's been going on for about a week now, and I've done nothing but try to avoid the situation. I've been locking myself in my room out of fear of confrontations and whatever, all this stuff that's been going on. Yeah, I guess I just don't feel safe.
All right. All right. So, Ms. Horton, don't go to residence location. You may return with a police escort to get your belongings.
Thank you.
What is your full name, please?
Preston Roberts.
What's your middle name, please? You're charged with domestic violence, aggravated assault on a protected party, and domestic violence, aggravated harassment. I am going to enter pleas of not guilty. Let you know you do have a constitutional right to remain silent, to be represented by an attorney. There is an attorney who is seated next to you representing you for this evening's hearing. I'm going to hear first from the prosecutor's office regarding their bond recommendation, and then I will hear from your attorney. Mr. Goodman.
Can you hear me now, Judge?
Yes.
I'm just going to leave the mic on to avoid further issues, so I'll try to be as quiet as I can between hearings. But essentially, I know pretrial wasn't able to reach the victim. The victim did provide input through law enforcement at the top of the interim complaint where the summary begins. She's objecting to release. This case involves a violation of apparently a repeated violation of an OOP per the victim, where she damaged property, threatens the victim, assaults her, by pouring chemicals on the victim. It looks like she's on DV probation, or at least misdemeanor DV probation involving the same victim. So the state's requesting a $25,000 bond with pretrial services in light of that.
Defense counsel.
Your Honor, would ask that you release Ms. Roberts to pretrial service supervision, alternatively impose a lower bond. This is her first felony arrest of any kind. She has no prior failures to appear. Given that, we would ask for release or significantly lower.
Ms. Roberts, your bond set at $5,000 plus release of pretrial services. If you're able to post that bond, you must comply with any monitored treatment as directed by pretrial services. You are not allowed to have any contact with your mom. Do not call her, do not see her, do not text her, do not go to where she lives or works. Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent you. Your preliminary hearing is set January 21st at 1:30 p.m. You are excused. Thank you. What is your full name, please?
It's Alan Manuel Delgado Lascano.
You're charged with domestic violence assault, domestic violence disorderly conduct. I'm going to enter pleas of not guilty. Let's see. You do have a constitutional right to remain silent. You may hire counsel if you'd like for your case, or if the court felt in the interest of justice an attorney needed to be appointed, the court could appoint an attorney for you for little or no cost. I am going to release you on this case. Don't commit any further acts of domestic violence. Your next court date is going to be February 11th, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. Make sure you appear. If you do not, a warrant will issue for your arrest. You understand?
Yes.
You're excused. Thank you.
Your Honor, can you hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on a second, sir. Delgado. There's a victim involved in this case. Did you want to make a statement? Sorry about that.
I am his wife. My name is Stacy Darko, and I want the court and everybody to know that he did not commit any domestic violence.
All right, you can talk to the prosecutor in the case about that matter. The city prosecutor's office is who you would talk to.
Okay. So, because, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, so is he being released?
Yes, I've already released him.
Okay. I'm sorry, because this has never happened before. When can he be picked up?
The jail will release him in a few hours.
Okay.
Thank you. You're excused.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
What is your full name, please?
Sonia Renee Acevedo.
You are charged with burglary in third degree and false reporting to a law enforcement. I'm going to enter pleas of not guilty. You also had a felony warrant for your arrest for a robbery charge with the alleged incident date of September 30th of 2022. I'll quash that warrant and enter pleas of not guilty. I need to let you know that you do have a constitutional right to remain silent, to be represented by an attorney. You do have an attorney who is seated next to you representing you for this morning's hearing. I'm going to hear first from the prosecutor's office regarding their bond recommendation, and then I will hear from your attorney. Mr. Goodman?
Are you able to hear me, Judge?
Yes.
The state's recommending the bond amount in the warrant for the robbery case. Essentially, the court so I'll supply the facts. Essentially, the defendant and 4 other suspects robbed the victim of $700. She was the individual that basically snatched the money out of the victim's hand, while 1 or 2 of the other suspects was trying to push her out of the car. And then, of course, the driver, again, who was trying to drive off while this was all happening. Typically, JP court warrants have to issue because whereabouts become unknown. And that's how we get to case number 2, where we're requesting a $5,000 bond. Her whereabouts weren't known until the new burglary brazen act of essentially just going behind the counter and taking what she wants. She does have a flag, and she is maxed out almost at least on both scales. One of them, I believe, is a 4.
Defense counsel?
We would ask that you release Mrs. Tato to pretrial service supervision in both of these cases. The alleged incident date on the robbery is in September of 2022. And it does appear, based on the pretrial services report, that in July she did go to the court and ask that her 2016 arrest, 2018 conviction, no, 2016 conviction, be set aside. So she was affirmatively trying to deal with her legal matter. She did go to Superior Court. That set aside that she applied for was granted in July of 2024. The warrant was out at that time. No one flagged that for her. So she was not given the opportunity to appear out of custody. She is employed full-time at Rick's Demolition. I understand that she has to be at work today at 1:30. If she's not there, she will be fired. Given the age of the warrant, given the fact that she has affirmatively tried to deal with her legal matters since the warrant issued and was not told about it, we would ask you give her an opportunity of pretrial services release.
Mrs. Tito, on the new charge of burglary, your bond set at $5,000. I'll appoint the public defender's office. Don't have any contact with the victim involved in this case. Don't go back to the incident location. Public defenders is appointed. Your preliminary hearing is set January 21st, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. Regarding the robbery warrant case, your bond is set at $5,000. Your arraignment date is set for, your preliminary hearing is set for January 21st at 1:30. Public defender's office is appointed to represent you. No contact with that victim, and don't go back to the incident locations. And they are 2 separate bonds. You're excused.
Your Honor, I believe she also has a city court warrant. So I'm not going to get out unless pay the bond. Correct. It's $10,000.
I don't believe so. I don't have any other.
Jail's record said she does have a city court warrant. I see it on pretrial as a failure to appear from May of 2020.
We don't have a file, so.
What if I try to find out it says I have a warrant?
So that's also my concern.
I guess she'll be seeing maybe tonight for that charge. Thank you. What is your full name, sir?
Oscar Cordova.
You are charged with 1 count of domestic violence, disorderly conduct. I'm going to enter pleas of not guilty. You do have a constitutional right to remain silent. Let's see. Well, it looks like you're on felony probation right now. I am going to just set a small, your bond is going to be $1,000 secured. And your next court date is going to be in Tucson City Court, January 22nd, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. I'll let the city court judge know that you're in custody on a felony case, or no, you're on probation for a felony matter.
Can't you release me and I can just report to my probation officer?
No, I don't know I don't have any information on that felony case, why you're on probation. I don't know if it's for domestic violence. Please do not offer any information about that. I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you so you can talk to your attorney about this case. All right. Thank you. You're excused. What is your full name, please?
Mary Patricia Ronigan.
You're charged with 1 count of criminal damage. I'm going to enter plea of not guilty. You don't have a constitutional right to remain silent, to be represented by an attorney. There is an attorney who is seated next to you representing you for this morning's hearing. I'm going to hear first from the prosecutor's office regarding their bond recommendation, and then I will hear from your attorney. Mr. Goodman?
And I assume you can still hear me, Judge?
Yeah.
The state's recommending a $7,500 bond. I know one of the DUI priors from California's got some age to it back from 2009. The other one out of justice court is more recently, just back in 2020. This case involved a collision and a very high BAC. For the PBT, it was a 0.253 BAC.
Defense counsel.
Your Honor, I would ask that you give Ms. Ronigan an opportunity on pretrial services release. Pretrial services did score her at a 1. She has no prior failures to appear of any kind. She does have confirmed housing. She is 66 years old. Pretrial services would be able to require that she breathalyze or submit to drug and alcohol testing multiple times per week if they deemed it appropriate. Given that, we would ask that you give her an opportunity on pretrial services release. Alternatively, we would ask that you impose a order.
Ms. Ronigan, because of the 2 prior alleged DUI misdemeanor convictions, your bond is set at $5,000. If you're able to post that bond, you will be released to the supervision of pretrial services. You must comply with any monitored treatment they recommend. You are not allowed to drink any alcohol or take any illegal drugs. Do not drive without a valid license. Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent you. Your preliminary hearing is January 21st, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. Your attorney will be in touch with you. Full name, please.
Justin Patrick Irwin.
You're charged with 1 count of domestic violence, aggravated harassment. I'm going to enter plea of not guilty. You do have a constitutional right to remain silent, to be represented by an attorney. There is an attorney who is seated next to you representing you for this morning's hearing. I'm going to hear first from the prosecutor's office regarding their bond recommendation, and then I will hear from your attorney. You also had a federal hold on you. Prosecutor?
You can hear me okay, Judge?
Yes.
Okay. Essentially, we're requesting the $15,000 bond in lieu of no bond. In light of that federal hold, he's got the 3 DV priors. This involves the violation of an order of protection, as well as the court's aware that he is technically on federal felony release at this time.
Defense counsel?
Your Honor, given the federal hold, we would just ask for a nominal bond for time credit.
Or when your bond set at $15,000, you are not allowed to have any contact with the victim involved in this case. Do not call the person, see the person. Persons, actually, there's 2 of them. Your brother, let's see. Sean and Janet. Do not have contact with those individuals. Do not call them, text them, social media them. If you were to get out of custody, you cannot go to where they live. Do not commit any further acts of domestic violence. possession of firearms or weapons. Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent you. Your preliminary hearing is set January 21st at 1:30 p.m. You are excused. Thank you. What is your full name, please? You're charged with unlawful possession of narcotic drugs for sale, unlawful possession of narcotic drug, unlawful possession of a dangerous drug, taking the identity of another person, and theft of a credit card. I'm going to enter pleas of not guilty. You do have a constitutional right to remain silent, to be represented by an attorney. There is an attorney who is seated next to you representing you for this morning's hearing. You do have a probation hold on you, and I'm going to hear first in the prosecutor's office. Mr. Goodman?
With pretrial, based on the nature of the offenses and being on that violent felony DV ag assault probation.
Defense counsel?
Your Honor, we would just ask the court impose a nominal bond for time credit given the probation.
Ms. Petty, your bond set at $10,000. Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent you. No contact with the victims of the credit card. And Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent you. Your preliminary hearing is set January 21st at 1:30 p.m. Your attorney will be in touch with you soon. You also had a warrant for your arrest at a city court for a drug paraphernalia charge. I'm going to quash the warrant, release you, set your next court date for February 28th, 2025 at 9 a.m. in city court. And you are excused. Thank you. What is your full name, please? You are charged with 1 count of shoplifting, criminal trespass, and false reporting to a law enforcement officer. I'm going to enter pleas of not guilty. Don't go back to the store location. I believe it's a Walmart at 4555 East Wetmore. Don't go back to that store location. Don't pick up any new charges. I'm going to release you, give you a chance to appear on your own in justice court, February 10th at 8:30 a.m. If you don't appear, a warrant will issue for your arrest. You understand?
Yeah.
All right, you're excused. Thank you. What is your name, please?
My name is Alexander Wilkins.
You're charged with domestic violence assault, domestic violence disorderly conduct. I'm going to enter pleas of not guilty. In your case, sir, I'm going to set a bond. It's going to be $1,000 due to the alleged facts of this case. You're not allowed to have any contact with Soledad. Do not call her. Do not see her. Do not text her. Do not go to where she lives or works. Stay away from her, sir. An attorney from the City Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent you. Your next hearing date is going to be in Tucson City Court, January 22nd, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. If you're in custody, if you post a bond, it'll be February 11th at 1:30 p.m. Make sure you stay in touch with your attorney, or your attorney will see you at the jail if you're still in custody. You're excused.
One question before I leave. So we live at the same place. How do I go about that?
I will allow you to return one time with a police escort to get your belongings. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
What is your full name, please?
Petra Thompson.
Say your name again, please.
Petra Thompson.
You're charged with 1 count of disorderly conduct and criminal nuisance. I'm going to enter pleas of not guilty. Let's see. I'm going to allow you to be released. Don't go back to 256 East Congress or have any contact with any of the victims involved in this case. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to set your next court date in City Court, February 11, 2025 at 2:00 p.m. Make sure you appear in City Court. If you do not, a warrant will issue for your arrest. You are.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
What is your full name, please?
Shania Troyer.
You are charged with 1 count of disorderly conduct and assault. I'm going to enter pleas of not guilty. I need to let you know that you do have a right to remain silent. You may hire counsel to represent you in your case, or if at some point the court felt in the interest of justice an attorney needed to be appointed, the court will appoint an attorney for you for little or no cost. I am going to allow you to be released. I'm going to release you on your own recognizance. Set your next court date for February 14th at 9:30 a.m. Make sure you appear in court. If you do not, a warrant will issue for your arrest. And don't commit any further acts of domestic violence. You are
Yes, ma'am.
excused. Thank you.
Thank you.
What is your full name, please?
Jairo Aragon Cruz.
Mr. Aragon Cruz, looks like you had a warrant in the Ajo Justice Court. I'm going to quash that warrant, first of all, and release you on that charge. Your next court date is January 28th, 2025 at 9 a.m. in Ajo Justice Court. You also had 2 warrants for your arrests that the jail found out of Justice Court. One was contracting without a license. The alleged incident date was from March 20th, 2021. The other one was from April 4th of 2022. I am going to quash those warrants, enter pleas of not guilty. For both of those cases, I will release you. Your next court date in both of those cases is February 4th, 2025 at 10:30 a.m. Make sure you appear, sir. These cases will never go away until you appear in court to resolve your cases. You are excused. Thank you. What is your full name, please?
Dina K. Ashton.
All right, looks like you're charged with domestic violence, criminal trespass, domestic violence, criminal damage. I'm going to enter pleas of not guilty. Let's see. This case involved. I'm going to allow you to be released on these charges, let you know that you do have a constitutional right to remain silent. You can hire counsel to represent you in this case, or when you get to Green Valley Justice Court, you know, in the interest of justice, if an attorney, if a judge found that you needed counsel, they could also appoint counsel for you. I'm going to release you on these charges. You must appear in Green Valley Justice Court, January 23rd at 8:30 a.m. If you don't appear, more warrants will issue for your arrest. And a warrant could issue for your arrest. Sorry. Thank you for your excuse. What is your name, sir?
Jordan Hitchcock.
All right. You're charged with 1 count of a DUI charge, refusing to provide your true name, and you have some civil citations for, I believe it was not having a car restraint on and driver's license, not having a proper driver's license. I'm going to enter pleas of not guilty and not responsible for the civil citations. Let you know you do have a constitutional right to remain silent. You may hire counsel for yourself. I am going to release you on these charges. Do not drink any alcohol or take any illegal drugs. Do not drive without a valid license. Your next court date is set for February 10th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. If you don't appear, a warrant will issue for your arrest. You understand?
Yes.
You're excused.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor.
What is your full name, please?
Wayne Brian Hilton.
Mr. Pelton, it looks like you have a petition to revoke your probation on one of your cases. Looks like you were placed on probation, unsupervised probation, July 14, 2023 for an assault and threats and intimidation and disorderly conduct charge. You were placed on unsupervised probation for 18 months. In the petition, it states that you violated your probation by picking up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new cases. I am going to enter a denial of the allegations, and I'll set your next hearing date the same date as the other cases. Let me talk to you about all the other cases. You have new charges of disorderly conduct, criminal trespass of November 21st, 2024, disorderly conduct from October 30th of 2024, disorderly conduct, criminal trespass of November 3rd, 2024, disorderly conduct from November 3rd, 2024, criminal trespass, 2 counts of disorderly conduct from November 21st, 2024, and threats and intimidation ×3 on November 21st, 2024. I'm going to enter pleas of not guilty to all those charges, set your bond at $2,000, appoint the city public defender's office to represent you. Your next hearing date is going to be, let's see, going to be January 21st, 2025 at 1:45 p.m. City Public Defender will be in touch with you soon. That's the same day that's going to be set on your petition to revoke also. Thank you. You are excused. What is your full name, please?
Horacio Tomas Arts.
You are charged with 1 count of domestic violence assault. I'm going to enter plea of not guilty.
Yes, my property.
Need to let you know you do have a constitutional right to remain silent, to hire counsel if you would like to do that in your case. If the court felt in the interest of justice at some point that an attorney needed to be appointed, the court could appoint counsel for you.
She was trespassed.
I don't see anything about any prior convictions. You work full-time, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
I see you work full-time. You've lived in Tucson for at least 25 years. I'm not seeing anything that pretrial services says that you have any priors. Also level 1. So I'm going to release you, sir. You are not allowed to have any contact with Tina. Don't call her. Don't see her. Don't go to where she's at. Stay away from her. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Your next court date is going to be in Green Valley Justice Court, January 23rd, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. Make sure you appear. If you do not, a warrant will issue for your arrest. You are excused. Thank you.
I wanted to get I told him I need to get her, what do you call that?
Order of protection.
No, it's the people away from the property.
This judge isn't, and he's just asking about that. I'm going to mute us for just a moment.
What is your full name, please?
Senator Eric Quick.
Mr. Quick, it looks like you had a felony warrant for your arrest for a burglary in 3rd degree and organized retail theft. The alleged incident date was from September 1st, 2023. I'm going to enter pleas of not guilty. You do have a right to have an attorney represent you. There is an attorney who is seated next to you representing you for this evening's hearing. You do have a constitutional right to remain silent. I'm going to hear first in the prosecutor's office regarding their bond recommendation, and then I will hear from your attorney.
Yeah, I'm here, Judge. Is that better?
I can hear you, yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. These computers they gave us are terrible with the mic. We're recommending the warrant amount at $2,500. He has been failing to appear for it looks like for the report, 2 Tucson City Court misdemeanor matters around the time this incident occurred. He's maxed out on both scales and doesn't have a known residence.
All right, defense counsel?
I would ask that you give him an opportunity on pretrial services release. These are nonviolent property offenses. It does say that a summons was mailed to him, but it doesn't say the address where it was mailed. So, and he's not been previously arrested on this, which pretrial services did confirm. So I don't think he got actual notice of this hearing. Given the nature of these charges, we would ask that you give him an opportunity to appear at his arraignment out of custody.
Mr. Quick, your bond is set at $2,500. No contact with the victim. Don't go back to the incident location. Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent you. Your arraignment date is set for January 17th at 1:30 p.m. You also have 2 misdemeanor cases. One case is a criminal trespass case. The other one is a resisting arrest and drug paraphernalia case. I'm going to quash those warrants, release you, set your next court date for February 7th. 2025 at 9 a.m. And I'll let City Court know that you're in custody on on the felony matter. You are excused. Thank you. What is your full name, sir?
Bruce James Arnold.
You're charged with unlawful possession of narcotic drug, unlawful possession of drug paraphernalia. I am going to enter pleas of not guilty. Need to let you know you do have a constitutional right to remain silent, to be represented by an attorney. There is an attorney who is seated next to you representing you for this morning's hearing. I want to let you know, Mr. Arnold, the state's okay with your release to the supervision of pretrial services. I will release you to their supervision. You must comply with any monitor treatment they recommend. While you're on release status, sir, you are not allowed to drink any alcohol or take any illegal drugs. Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent you. Your first hearing is called a SMART hearing. It is set on January 21st, 2025 at 9 a.m. You must be present for this hearing date. If you're not present, a warrant could issue for your arrest. Your preliminary hearing is set January 31st, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. Shirley,
For that PH.
February 25th at 1:30 is the PH date.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, this is for a pre-trial. First thing, Monday morning, call your attorney. Tuesday or Wednesday, which will be on 2 hours. Yeah.
What is your full name, sir?
Romy L. Saul.
You are charged with theft of means of transportation. I'm going to enter plea of not guilty. Let you know you do have a constitutional right to remain silent, to be represented by an attorney. There is an attorney who is seated next to you representing you for this evening or this morning's hearing. The prosecutor's office is okay with your release to supervision or pretrial services. You must comply with any monitor treatment they recommend. You are not allowed to have any contact with the alleged victim. Do not go to where that person lives. Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent you. Your preliminary hearing is set January 31st, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. Stay in touch with your attorney. You are excused. Thank you. What is your full name, sir?
Ignacio Anthony Leon Segura.
You're charged with 1 count of theft, 3 counts of theft of a firearm. I'm going to enter pleas of not guilty. You do have a constitutional right to remain silent, to be represented by an attorney. There is an attorney who is seated next to you. The prosecutor's office is okay with your release to supervision of pretrial services. I will release you to their supervision. You must comply with any monitor treatment they recommend. While you're on release status, do not drink any alcohol, do not take any illegal drugs, do not possess any firearms or weapons. Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent you. Your preliminary hearing is January 31st, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. You are excused. Thank you.
Good morning, Your Honor.
What is your name?
Javon Isaiah Simpkins.
You're charged with being a prohibited possessor, unlawful possession of a dangerous drug, unlawful possession of a narcotic drug, unlawful possession of drug paraphernalia. I'm going to enter pleas of not guilty. You do have a constitutional right to remain silent, to be represented by an attorney. There is an attorney who is seated next to you representing you for this evening's hearing. The state's okay with your release to supervision of pretrial services. I will release you to their supervision. You must comply with any monitor treatment as directed by pretrial services. Don't possess any firearms or weapons. The Legal Defender's Office is appointed to represent you. January 31st, 1:30 is your preliminary hearing. You are excused. Thank you.
Thank you.
What is your full name, please?
Christopher Joseph Godinez.
You are charged with 1 count of assault. I'm going to enter plea of not guilty. Mr. Goodneeds, I'm going to allow you to be released. Do not go back to 3392 North Casa Grande Highway. Don't have any contact with the victim involved in this case. Do you understand?
Yeah.
All right. Your next court date is going to be in Tucson City Court, February 11, 2025 at 9 a.m. Make sure you appear. If you do not, a warrant will issue for your arrest. You are excused. Thank you.
Thank you.